You know, guys, I'm frustrated. The institutions, they think that they're going to win again. But let me tell you something, they're not. I am honestly not at any breaking point, I want to say, but the amount of selling pressure, the amount of psychological distress, the amount of really like almost highway robbery. I mean, the manipulation within the market, within crypto, it is absolutely mind blowing. In this video, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on that as to how we can beat it together and what I'm doing and how I'm going to beat it. All right, so if you guys could hit the like and subscribe button, please, before I get started, I really appreciate it. I want to help grow the channel. It's really, it's really important for me, and for me to give you guys more content. Of course, please, you guys can comment. Let me know if there's something you want me to talk about, and not just the chart, but just like my thoughts on something that may be happening in the market, right? Altcoin season never happened. Phenomenal, right? No. It really annoys me, honestly, that we had a 4-year cycle play out. Bitcoin peaks on apathy, right? Meaning Bitcoin peaks on like this like non-euphoric, non-high energy moment, and altcoins don't do anything all of 2025 except go down or like stay within like some range. 2024 we had a little bit of a pump, cool, you know. I was a little bit fortunate. I took some profits, cool, but for the vast majority of people holding crypto, even me, like most of my money was intentionally being held for that altcoin rally at the end of 2025 that we never got. And then we sell off, and we sell off aggressively in Bitcoin. We sell off in alts. Alts are in hell, right? Alts are at the bottom. Some of them have made new all-time lows compared to the last bear market. And it's frustrating to me, not because they're at all-time lows, not even because we didn't get the altcoin season, though that does frustrate me, but it's not the only thing. You know what frustrates me the most? That they are manipulating so hard that they are literally doing what they always do by trying to keep retail out of the market. They are selling off and pushing prices so low, terrifying retail to not want to buy in, not want to buy now, which again, it may not be the bottom. If we're in a 4-year cycle, we're bottoming in October. But we are probably close to a bottom. And nobody's buying. No retail is in the market. And every time it seems like that they do get in, no matter what price we all get in at, the prices just keep going lower. So what can we do, right? Well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to keep working, right? We're going to keep working our regular jobs. We're going to keep taking whatever money we can. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to keep buying. Right? I wish I could tell you guys, to go and buy. I wish I could, This is not financial advice kind of thing. You already know how that goes. But truly, what I'm doing is I'm buying. And I'm buying this bottom. And if it goes lower, I'm buying more. The other thing that kind of, I want to say, alarms me is the S&P 500 has been in what looks like a Wyckoff distribution phase. And basically, if you guys don't know what a Wyckoff distribution phase is, there's cycles to the market, and a distribution phase would be like a wide range from a high to like a low, and it's just going to keep chopping in that range, but it's usually a very wide range. It's usually very wild, as opposed to accumulation is typically not very wide ranges. They're more tight, more condensed. So it looks like that we're in a distribution phase for the S&P 500, and we're going to be getting some sort of correction at some point. I mean, we can't keep rallying. Stocks and tech stocks seem to have kind of like burned out, and there's really nowhere for them to go. So, I mean, what's going to pump the markets? We're still in a war, and the elections haven't even happened yet, right? So now this is good though, right? So it sounds really bad. It sounds super bearish, but we just need to keep in mind the macro and how the S&P really performs. Even if there's a 20% correction, 15% correction, 12% correction, whatever correction is going to happen in the market, just like I believe it was in 2024, we could easily have, or maybe it was 2025, I can't remember right now, but I think it was 2025, we had a V-shaped recovery. So we could easily sell off and then have a V-shaped recovery. Which would really seem like it's going to correlate to how the S&P 500 and Bitcoin can start like kind of like being cohesive again and start not having crypto and Bitcoin go against the market for the next couple years. So I think the correction may be needed. I don't know if it's going to happen. It might not happen. We might keep going higher, but it doesn't really seem like that from my point of view. We need some sort of correction in order to go higher. Clarity Act, I don't know, is it going to pass? Does anybody know? I mean, they keep kicking the can down the road. If Trump loses both, if he loses either the House or the Senate, I mean, we already know the Democrats are not pro-crypto, which is, listen, I'm not a political person. I don't care about Republican or Democrat. My point is I care about making money. And if somebody's going to get in the way of me making money, I'm going to be upset. So I think, I'm hoping that really, you know, they can keep the House and the Senate, because that would be very bullish for crypto. And as for the rest of the political, geopolitical stuff, I have no opinion on it. But really, I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on that. And so, like, I'll give you guys my bullish and bearish scenarios now. My bearish scenario is 4-year cycle is playing out. October, I think 6th is the day. Technically, it's supposed to bottom. And that's when crypto would bottom, and that's when a true bottom would happen. Or around that day, you know, it could be within a few days. Okay. So we're not too far off from there at this point, right? We've already endured this long. We just have to keep enduring. Cool. If that's going to happen, then I expect some sort of correction in the S&P 500 as well. I expect some sort of correction in tech stocks, because everything is just so expensive now. Everything's expensive, guys. Everything. So I think we're leaning towards the 4-year cycle more or less playing out. And we're going to get some sort of correction in the S&P 500 before Q4, or the correction ends right at Q4. And there's a very high probability that we get a nice rally for the last 3 months of the year, where we could easily see, assuming this isn't the bottom for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has another leg down and we go down to like 50K, right? Which would be about another 15% or so drop from the previous bottom that it was already at. Let's say it goes down, whatever, 48K or something like that. It's not unreasonable to see Bitcoin close around the $70,000 mark by the end of the year. Does it happen? I don't know. But that's kind of like my bear case scenario. And my bull case scenario really is we've bottomed in crypto. And, that we've bottomed in crypto. We're not going lower. We're going to really just stay range bound for these next 3 months between the 70 and call it 50, 59, 60,000 range. Let's just call it that, 60 to 70,000 range. We stay range bound, and Bitcoin just just continues to get accumulated, and we end this year potentially around $100,000. I mean, that's the bull case scenario, okay? With the way that the charts are looking, with the way that there's no clarity yet, we need something to tell us that the bottom is in, guys. We've had a lot of sell-off. We've had I believe we've had our capitulation moment, similar to like the FTX in 2021. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, really how it kind of works is when there's like a bear market in every market, like whether it's crypto or stocks, there's always like some sort of capitulation moment. In 2022, with the bear market for crypto, FTX collapsed. That was a crypto institution, right? And they lost millions and millions of dollars, and if not, maybe billions, I don't know, but definitely hundreds of millions. And that was the signal for the bottom. So that, I think like the Michael Saylor event is very similar, honestly. Like we have a very similar 2022 to 2026 scenario where the bear market in 2022, we had a war already. We had the Ukraine and Russia war. And it kind of like was still going on. It was still going on, and then we kind of just ignored it, like after the markets kind of really took it all in and digested it and had its sell off from it. It didn't really affect the markets anymore, and so the last moment there was the FTX collapse, and then like Bitcoin bottomed, and then we pushed higher. We kind of have a similar scenario here where we have Michael Saylor, who's the FTX in this scenario. He's talking about selling something that he said he would never sell. Okay, wow. So that causes mass panic. And we're at a war, right? But it's kind of being forgotten. If you guys are paying attention to the headlines, it's not being spoken about as much as it was. And it seems like that unless something catastrophic really happens, there's some sort of the agreement behind closed doors, however they're doing that, to like fully come to an agreement and end everything, seems to already really be happening. More quietly now, like as opposed to before. It was really on the news a lot, right? So that being said, those are kind of like my scenarios. Like 4-year cycle plays out, that's my bear case. I'm accumulating. Again, you guys don't have to do, you guys do whatever you want. I'm accumulating, and because at the end of the day, what's 3 more, what do we have? August and September, and then like a week or two in October at most, and then 2 more weeks in July. So you're talking about 10 to 12 weeks tops. So, I mean, even if you just bought, not you, but like me, even if I just bought like once a month, okay, so that's like 3 more big purchases, okay. So I think like we've really endured like the hardest part of all of this, and I think the reason why it hurts and it's so much harder than the last one is because we didn't get that alt season, and a lot of us have been invested since 2022, right? Like it's just, that's why like I call it robbery, because it's like the amount of manipulation that happened for that to not happen, for the altcoin season to not happen, is just, it's absurd. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on it. This is exactly how I'm going about it, and we just gotta stay grounded, persevere, and keep the conviction in our plays. Right? So that's what I'm doing. And anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. Until the next one.